knee. Okay, and I'm gonna mute the rest of you. If you don't mind. Okay. Please sit up straight. Find yourself something to sit on. Straight and tall. Comfortable, tall. Glasses off if you're wearing them. Sit level. Sit with a increasing awareness of the ground. Develop your awareness of your impression that your hips, legs, feet are making on the ground. And study your posture from the point of view of the evenness of that impression. Join your palms. Use the successive exhalations to increase your awareness and also to, as it were, using the breath to increase the impression. So the inhalation feels like it creates this mechanical space that might help the ribs lift and the hips settle, might help you get a sense of that downward expansion. The exhalation acts a different way. So keeping your responsiveness to this ground. Let's pay homage to this practice and to that lineage of teachers who have brought it to us, reaching back to the root teacher, Patanjali. Bow to this practice. Release your hands, raise your head, open your eyes, and stretch your legs. Stretch your feet. Maintain your impression of the ground through your buttocks. And if you're sitting on the floor, through the thighs, calves, and if you're not, whatever's on the floor, buttocks, heels. If you don't feel the knees are safe this way, then do sit on the floor so that the knee can't hyperextend. In any case, be very clear about making that impression Come out, get a brick. Brick. Now, watch what I do. I'm going to sit in Dandasana on that brick. And of course, this is that surface I'm sitting on. I'm going to put my buttock bones behind it. So only my thigh bone is on that brick. Hang your buttock bones just behind it. So the only thing on that brick is your thighs. And if you, for some reason, feel uncomfortable, use two bricks. Same thing. Broad support is nice, I discover. Hang the buttock bones down. Put your thighs down. Use the hands for whatever support you need. Take that pressure off the spine. So this idea of making an imprint is like I was talking about this yesterday, I think. You can take a rubber stamp to stamp the date on something, and you just go bonk and the ink hits. Okay. That's one kind of imprint, like a stamp. But the other kind of imprint you can make is like if this is a soft melted wax and you take your royal signet ring and you put it in, you don't go like that. The wax will splatter. You make an imprint, you press gently, and the imprint happens. So here you are in soft wax. Push that imprint in. Don't hit. No hits. Push your thighs down. Gay, tilt those legs straighten. Come out. Raise that brick. Raise it up. When it's tall, I advise you to be on one brick, not two, just marginally safer. And if your hands don't go to the floor with the brick that high, then put a bolster behind you.
How high is your brick, Devon?
There's flat, there's medium, there's tall. It's medium height.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay. For most of you, this will be a substantial sort of improvement in your ability to stretch the legs. Now, examine this back thigh and its contact. You can, if you watch me, you can relax your buttocks and settle. You can squeeze your buttocks and be lifted. Don't squeeze the buttocks, but press the thigh down, femur bone. Don't make an impression with the buttock muscle. Make an impression with the bone. Now, stretch your leg out to the foot as if your foot were making that soft wax impression. So from the root of the leg, the action goes that way. So let's say now there's two directions of down. One is to the ground, and one is to, you might say, the ground of the body, the feet. Come out, rest. So the first ground is the ground, the earth. And from that, all the other senses of ground, all the other meanings of that term arise. Get ready for Adho Mukha Svanasana. So the first thing we often do is we just settle back into Adho Mukha Virasana, which is, you might say, very grounding. And there's, of course, two things going on. One is you are settling in the spine and the joints toward the floor, but also along the floor. Right, the ribs get long, the neck opens, abdomen, pelvis, all of that opens. And as this progresses, the mind and nervous system begin to settle. Instead of being launched forward, upward, outward in any direction, the thought seems to settle. The nervous system process seems to settle. Second important meaning of the term ground. Now you come up on the hands and knees. Make that soft wax impression with your palms into the floor. Make a point here. It's not just the hand that needs to adjust to make contact. The whole arm helps go toward the ground. Palm, wrists, forearms, upper arms, shoulders, away from the spine to the ground, away from the brain to the ground. And you press your feet down and raise the knees up and go toward the more complete pose with a full engagement with the ground. Deep, detailed imprint of your toe prints, footprints, handprints, and through your senses, a deep and penetrating exploration of the ground itself. And the better you can explore that impression you're making and the surface you're making it on, the better your dog pose will feel. Gabe, walk your feet further back. Yes. And raise the heels a bit. Now work on stretching that leg between the imprint to the foot. Use the whole length of the leg to deepen the imprint. And release now and come out. That was better. Okay, keep a bit longer stance. You'll get more space in the trunk. Okay, so kneel, now stand up. And tilt your camera so I see your upper body. I actually want to be able to see your arms overhead. I don't have to see your fingertips, but I'd love to see your wrists. Don't have to see the lower body, but I gotta see the upper. Okay. So if I see you at all, a strap, watch first. Now, if you have a shoulder injury, this will have to be modified, but nobody mentioned anything. So if it comes up, this strap has to go to an arm anatomy. Maybe you can see it through the pattern. This is the deltoid muscle. This is the triceps, biceps. So right here, like where people wear armbands, that place is where strap goes. Ultimately, it's going to wiggle there, but that's about where it goes. Yeah, gay. Then, now here's the tricky part with the adjustment. Take your arms to Urdhva Hastasana, and the arm should be beside the ear. Okay. So what you're going to do with this thing, and I would put the buckle next away from you, this metal buckle away from you. It's going to go over your head. Look, this is close to my elbow right now as it goes over my head. But now I slide it down to that deltoid place, and look where it goes. It's behind my skull. I'm showing you close up. Okay. Now, if the strap is too loose, your arms will be able to be forward. If the strap is too tight, you really can't do the pose, right? So you gotta, it's the three bears approach. Keep the strap at your elbows, go over the head, head forward, strap at least one of them against the back of the skull. And now you stand up. Now, don't push. Your head should not have to push. It should be able to rest. For some of us, it pushes. Make an imprint through those feet. Stretch your toes forward. Make a deep impression through the heel. The more deeply you stretch down through the feet, the more there will be an upward yield. And stretch the arms up. So gauge that strap is close, kind of behind the neck, and it needs to come up a little behind the skull. So not so close to the shoulder. Yes, good. Now, Karen, arms closer to the head, parallel. Yes, and now come up through the chest. So those arms come up Much better gauge. It's coming up in the chest now. Do you feel? Coming up in the chest. If your arms are going to sleep, you come down. That's too much strain. Yeah. Imprint the feet. Breathe deeply. Fatigue comes. Breathe, exhaling strongly. Make sure that you nourish this pose. Don't starve it. And exhale, come out. A brick. Here's flat brick. Here's medium height. Here's tall. We start with medium height brick. On the floor. Yeah, you can see me. Now, learning from what just happened, if you need to slightly tighten or loosen your strap, please do, but an inch is like a mile, so don't get carried away. You need to take a test run because once your arms are strapped in, you can't fix anything. So you make sure you're in the right spot. This brick needs to go under your sternum. Now, you could put a second brick so your neck does not feel strained. Do you see? Second brick, same height, right under my head. That's possible. Now that you know where the bricks are, be careful, don't knock them over. Put your strap on. Now, I think it is possible to get your chest here and then go. If this works well, you get rid of that second brick. Take a bigger back bend. Again, that brick goes under the sternum. It should stay out from, not under the kidney, or at least it shouldn't feel that it's pushing the kidney. I think, Chaya, you may be able to move a little more toward your head, a little more toward down. Yes, just a small amount. That was good. And then I don't know if you need to change that head support. Now stretch your legs, Gay. Remember the brick under the thighs. There's a ground there. Stretch the legs away from the head. There's a ground there too. Keep the brain quiet, even as the arms stretch overhead. It is your choice. I'm not going to tell you when or if. I might suggest, but I will not declare that you should lower that brick under your head. But if things are going well, I encourage the experiment at least. But stretch the arms, stretch the legs. This seems like a pose that's different from Adho Mukha Svanasana, dog pose. But in terms of seeking the ground. It's not. Use deeper and deeper exhalations away from the brain and toward the extremities. So again, the better you can understand this footward extension, really center on the perfection of your impression. Yes, feel free to take the strap off if it is wearing out, it's welcome. But if possible, keep stretching the arms. Through the fingers, you make that penetrating impression. Through the feet, you make that penetrating impression. Through the buttock bones, the back thighs, legs. There is a groundward awareness. Come out. Bend the elbows. You may help your head up and then sit up. If your brick is not uncomfortable, some people roll to the side to come up. Are you okay? Some people's arms, they go to sleep if things are too tight here. So this is why I was saying you can loosen the strap or take it off after a while. But when you have very stiff shoulders, this is one way of really helping them open. Stand up again. Clear off your mat. And let's see. I want to take Parshva Konasana. So prepare yourself with a brick if you need for support on either side, and separate those feet. Now, whoever needs to, by all means, take yourself to a wall so you can have support if you need it. There is no penalty attached to taking support. Separate those feet. Now make an even print into the floor. Feet wider apart. Chaya, Gay. Turn to the right. Making an impression into the floor is not a passive act. You can't just rely on your body weight. The mind has to go to the ground. The senses, every act of that leg. Stretch your arms toward the ground. Even this. Exhale, bend your knee. So keep that movement away from the brain and conscious of the ground. Exhaling, out and over you go. Finish that knee bend. Finish or reestablish the ground. From the brain to the floor, stretch your arm back. Roll and take the arm overhead. Deeper and deeper exhalations. The grounding here is not just to the floor, the earth. The grounding is, in mind terms, away from the frontal lobes. Inhale, come up. Keep your sense of the floor. Turn your feet, rest for a moment. What I mean by that is a mind that is ungrounded is always thinking in future and past and is jumping in various directions. And it's not attending to the present moment, a scattered mind. All of us have scattered minds to one degree or another. This is why yoga is difficult. So that scattered mind, when it scatters away from the present, its only choices are to the future, the past, or something related to it. The frontal lobes, frontal brain, is the future mind, future part of the brain. It's where you make decisions and plan and evaluate and think about what's going to happen and what you're going to do, even in the next moment. The middle brain is the place where memories are stored in your frontal brain, and middle brain interact a lot using memory to plan for the future, etc. Okay, but it's the back brain, this part, that is the present moment brain. So interestingly, the movement of the brain when you get to the present moment is toward the ground, into the body. So there's a ground in the, literally in the mind, the brain structure. There's a sensation of grounding when you stop being in the future, stop being in the past, and start paying attention to your feet and your arms. Does this make sense? Maybe. Side 2, feet apart. Find the ground. Go away from your frontal lobes, middle brain. Release to the back brain. Go through the back brain to your feet, to your hands, to your extremities. Turn to the left. Take support as you may need it. Maintain your attention to the ground. Reach out. Take that hand. Your pose, your leg with respect to the ground. Your abdomen, grounding it. Your bent leg, grounding it. All of your back muscles, grounding, not bunching up, not bunching forward. Take the arm, stretch it overhead. Stay away from your frontal lobes. Stay away from your middle brain. Drop even out of your back brain. Drop your back brain to your feet. inhale, come up. Turn the feet. Okay. So change gears. If you need to, for this idea, to reinforce this idea of the ground, you touch your back heel to a wall. It's just a thing that helps you anchor the mind. If you spend your time pushing the wall, that would be a mistake. Go for the ground. That wall just reminds you that you would have to get back there from your frontal lobes. You have to get all the way back there. From your frontal lobes, you push the front foot. So often in back bends, and even me, I've said things like this: move the middle buttock forward. But I don't want you to think that way. I don't want you to think from this part. I want you to make an impression with the ground. And use that grounding to yield an upward lift. Now, when you get some upward lift and an even ground, instead of doing like a big back bend, bend your front knee. Keep the ground. Absolutely keep breathing. Lengthen your stance gag. Yeah, give yourself more room to maneuver. Be optimistic. Keep that back heel absolutely grounded. Nobody says move the middle buttock forward. What I'm saying is keep your feet grounded and move into the space that grounding gives you. Keep the ribs lifted with your inhale. Now you can stretch your arms down to the sides, away from the skull, horizontally out to the sides, and you can even lift them up, doing your Virabhadrasana 1, so long as you keep that action of the arms grounded, that is to say, away from your brain. Don't let your brain be shoved up or forward. Keep the brain dropped and soft. Right, Karen? So if that means the arms go back to the sides, then it does. When that clarity comes, that grounding comes, you can stretch your arms up overhead. Now we're going to come out and change sides. So do you notice I'm keeping you in these poses a while, even with the knees bent, even with the arms overhead. But I'm hoping that with that greater sense of the ground, it's easier to support the pose. That's my hope, that you're not just having like a grueling experience.
Okay.
Side 2. Now, you're allowed to make it a strength building experience, but I'm hoping it's not grueling. Okay? Grueling, in my definition, is you lose the ground of the pose of the mind, and it just becomes like a posture, and you're fighting with your foot and your thigh and this and that. It's like the big battle of the, anybody's ordinary battle. Don't make it a battle. Both legs. This is like Dandasana, where you ground those thighs and you reach to those feet. And both legs give you lift in the spine. Only one leg is only partial lift. Take the arms where you care to, but activate them. Stretch them. Don't be loose in the arms. Shoulders. You bend that knee with the ground in your attention. Now stretch those elbows, okay? If you need a strap, feel free to take one to get those arms up. Don't make it a grueling experience to straighten your elbows. Make it a grounding experience. Stretch that back leg. Impress the outer heel of your right foot, your back leg foot. Watch your breathing. Develop your breathing. Penetrate with that breath. Clear up the obstacles to grounding. And inhale and come out all the way. And so let's try Ustrasana. Now, for Ustrasana, you can begin with a chair that is the, you might say, cautious or beginner approach, stiff person approach. So in your first part, you'll sit possibly with the brick, with whatever support suits you, in Virasana, and bring this chair up right behind you if you will use it. Then we kneel, and you see, let me just take this off. Sticky mat, not necessary. So you can see the chair is quite close. It's just arm's reach. I really don't even have to do a back bend to get to that chair. I don't have to lean. Okay. So that's the idea. Now get your calves grounded. This is actually difficult. The knees are easy. The feet are not so easy. So put your toes, your Virasana toes, on the floor. You're not pushing so hard. It's not like you're trying to straighten your legs. Just making an imprint. And lift your ribs. Take your hands back to the chair. Pull it in if you need to, so you can get the heel of the hand on the chair. Imprint the feet. Head forward, lift your chest. Look for an even imprint and an even and the equal lift. If the chest opens, the hands go back farther. Not so much the head till it's ready. The hands can start climbing down the chair legs. And maybe that is when the head can go back. there is a point. I bring those front hips longer. Yay. Get those thighs back to vertical. They've leaned back. Keep those thighs vertical. Take that early part of the pose. Stretch your elbows and lift your chest. Yeah, the fingers can turn back, but don't strain the elbow. That pelvis needs to lengthen. Front pelvis needs to lengthen. That's good, but what I see, Karen, is your thighs are coming forward. This is fine if your feet stay on the floor. Don't lose the imprint of the toes, right? But thighs were coming forward. Now, some of you are doing quite enough Ustrasana that a chair is maybe not so much necessary. And what would be better is a bolster across those back ankles or heels. And if you're feeling sparky, you just lose all the support and put your hands on your heels. So you build the support that is high enough for your happiest pose. Now think first with those feet, shins long, and they're grounded out through the soles of the feet as well as to the ground, away from the brain and toward the earth. The head goes back, Chayas, if you're really fully in the pose. And if that chest is nice and open, the head should be able to go back freely. Now push those arms onto the bolster, gay, and push just the toes on the floor. Activate those toes. Activate, how shall I say, move your hamstrings to vertical. Yes, more hamstrings to vertical. That's better.
Devon, my
Yes.
feet and calves are cramping.
Ooh. Well, the one reason for it is you're trying to pick your feet toes up a little bit to adjust, and that might start causing a cramp. But a solution is, do you have some heavy books? Or a 50-pound plate weight? Okay, but anyway, if you've got a heavy thing, you could even, do you see Chaya in your little window there? Chaya doesn't matter. She's sitting with blankets squashing her calves, right? She's sitting, and then she's just got piles of blankets to squash the calves. And this can get rid of some of the cramps or all of them before you begin your next pose. In theory, those calves have very little to do except to stretch the foot. There is no picking up off the floor. Are we done with Ustrasana? I don't think
That's
so.
a question.
Yeah.
If we're talking about imprint, my right side, my right knee, and my right shin are imprinting deeper than the left. Should I raise something under the right side? So that I, no? Okay.
Go through that. This is my left side. Go through that left side.
To the left. Okay, I gotta put my brain to the left.
Yes, you do. Absolutely, you do.
Yeah, I know. I'll try the eyes.
Try the sacroiliac groin. Exhalation pelvically.
I used what you showed me with the eyes looking to the side.
Yes, yes.
That helped a lot.
Okay. Also, exhale pelvically.
Okay, excellent.
Okay. Structural plus nervous system. You also exhale pelvically. Hamstring more to vertical and keep freeing up that pelvic exhalation. Inhalation. Thighs vertical, pelvic work. That's an improvement.
Yes.
It almost doesn't matter how that back bend is going, Gay, if you're getting that connection. Does that make sense? Yes. Connectivity. Once the arms are down, we do say roll those biceps out, triceps in, and stretch the arm. But that's to make it, that's the idea, is to make it all easier to get away from your brain, get away from your frontal lobes. Okay. Out you come. Chairs away, props away. Adho Mukha Svanasana. Go slow. Think of the impression you're making. Stay out of your brain. Stay in your feet. Exhaling to the hands, to the feet. Connecting everything in between. Then walk your feet forward and wide, like the wider than hip width. Doesn't have to be Prasarita Padottanasana, but wider than hip width, Uttanasana. So vertical legs. And if you need support under your hands, take. Very same instructions. Find the imprint. So even though the head is hanging down and there's a certain gravity, you might say, toward the skull, toward the frontal lobes, there's another sense in which keeping those shoulder blades and neck and throat open, you can keep the brain moving toward the tailbone, foot, ground. come out. So go near a wall. Let's see. And you can use blankets. I've just got a block. It's what's nearby. I'm going to straighten the leg and I'm going close to the wall, pretty close. And the leg close to the wall is straight. That is my right leg, and the left knee is bent. And I'm going to lift up the trunk after I find the ground through the foot, through the buttocks, through the other foot. I'm going to stretch out and catch this foot. If you need a strap, you get a strap. Then this hand, maybe with the elbow bent, helps lift me up and turn me toward the wall, away from the bent knee. Marciasno 1. Now, if the wall is not handy, you can just do this with a chair behind you. So that you can just get yourself parallel to your sticky mat, and this back arm has an anchor, has a ground. Both feet, both buttocks, ground. Reach the arms away from the brain. Don't clump upward toward the brain. Use progressively deeper exhalations. Spend a bit of time there. So, Gay, that foot, it won't go. I can't hear you, but in theory, it should be right next. But is that hip not working?
I don't think I understand the pose, actually.
It's Marciasno 1. So watch I'll show from the other direction. The rest of you can come out and change sides if you like. So do you see it, Gay?
Yes.
Right knee bent, left leg straight.
Right.
Right hand catches the left foot and the left hand goes back. So when I'm turned, so this leg is not out at all. That looks better. Now that top arm goes up. So you get a very open chest. Yes, that's why the chair behind you could help. And if it's at the right place, Gay, it helps you open instead of shoving that shoulder towards your head. So make sure your elbow can bend and stay away from your chest. Chaya, chest up a little more. Open that chest. Don't have to look up necessarily, but keep your head level. That's better. That's better. Karen, if you have room, can you raise your elbow on? Yeah, so you get more open space on that right top chest. Oh, I meant Karen Carpenter. Beg pardon. Karen Laplace, Karen Higgins, catch your foot with your right hand. Yes. and come out. So you're on different sides now. So I have to say, do your last side. I can't tell you which side it is anymore. You do your last side. And if you've done both sides evenly and equally, and you're fine and you didn't restart, are we all done? Nobody needs an extra side. Is that true? Okay. Was that it? Yes. You need another side. No, you're done. Come out then. If you need your extra side, you take it. So I'm getting mixed signals here, but we need to proceed. You need, I guess I'll face this way. With your hips on its support or not, bend your right knee. Support might include a chair, you never know. It's a forward bend, Janu Shirshasana. So you will catch your left foot with your right hand or a strap. And in my case, a knee strap. And draw your spine up tall. Watch your breath. Watch your imprint through this straight leg, buttock. Bent leg buttock gets heavy. Straight leg buttock has to find itself, catch with two hands. And go forward. Use the chair, use whatever, go forward. Take as full a Janu Shirshasana as you can. Take support under the head. If need be, we're looking for a ground. This pose, in theory, is going to get you really close to the physical ground if you can settle. Use your exhalation. And come up slowly. Stretch your legs, change sides. Bring that heel in close to, if possible, its own groin, but in any case, up close to the pelvis. Stretch the other leg, sit up straight, find out the nature of your imprint. Sometimes we're really asymmetrical on one side, and we're much more even in the contact on the other. You should notice this. With the bent leg hand, catch the straight leg foot. The other hand is a support. This outward action is a bit of a distraction. It makes the mind go like this. What am I going to do? And you lose that sense of the ground. So keep practicing. As you reach for that arm, have a sense of the ground. Once you catch the arm, grow your awareness of the ground. When it's time to catch with that second hand, do it from the ground. Do it so that it's not a surprise to the brain or the body. And when you come forward, do it purely with ground-mindedness. And as you successively exhale, the brain settles, the body settles, it gets longer. The brain cells settle. Adjust your pose for the purpose of settling more. And then come up, stretch both legs straight. If you've got a chair, that's great. If you don't, that's great. Take whatever support you got, but separate your feet. If you're working with a chair, these feet will go in between the chair legs. And you take Paschimottanasana. Okay, if you're working with a chair, if you can go lower, you just take your feet about the same width and go forward. So if you're flexible, you won't need the chair, you go forward. Wherever you go, you take that pose, soft pose. All right, then come up carefully. And take Shavasana the way that suits you. If you need your head elevated, do. If you need your knees elevated, do. If you need your chest elevated, do. If you're cold, bundle up. Don't be cold in Shavasana. If you don't have the ability to keep your own body warm, use props. So Karen, you can keep going, but I'll just say, in terms of that Ustrasana issue with one leg seemingly longer than the other, the issue, if I understand correctly, is not that so much that the bone is physically shorter, but all the connectivity has been sort of shortened. Is that true? Thumb up, thumb down. if there is a bony difference, then
There is a little bit.
okay, fine. Point being, you can use a riser under the structurally short leg in order to write the one that's light. You can put a riser under it. I'm changing my story here, right? But the purpose is not to prop that shortness, but to invite the length. So you, whatever that thing is under the knee is, you have to be able to move length into
Toward
the
it.
joint. So if it is too much height, you'll never be permitted to do that.
So it's
On
not so
the
much
other
up
hand,
the- yeah.
on the other hand, having something that gives that leg a signal is good.
Okay.
When you're fully extended on the long leg, you'll be kind of out of touch with the ground on the lifted one. So if you give it a sensory tool to aim at, and to right, do you understand this imprint, this stamp notion?
Yes.
You have to get the full imprint.
Yes. It's
to
very
make
different.
space. Okay, the imprint is different. Take Shavasana. I'm muting you again. It is time. So you stay in Shavasana or sit. Namaskar.